Zara stood quietly at the glowing edge of her vibrant alien city, her large violet eyes glistening with sadness. Behind her, bright lights shimmered from the towers and crystal buildings of her home, a place that had once felt safe, but now rejected her completely. Her heart ached, as if someone had squeezed it hard, refusing to let go. She had always been different, more curious and kind-hearted than others of her kind. Zara often wondered why her people feared and disliked humans so much. They spoke of humans as if they were dangerous, selfish creatures, but Zara had secretly studied them, seeing kindness, bravery, and compassion in their actions. Her fascination had eventually become her downfall. When Zara openly spoke in defense of humans, pleading for understanding, her people accused her of betrayal. Her family turned away. Friends she trusted became strangers overnight, and now her entire world had abandoned her. The elders declared Zara dangerous, casting her out to wander alone, banned forever from returning. Feeling hopeless, Zara turned away from her city's glow and faced the vast, unknown wilderness stretching out endlessly before her. Strange plants and distant mountains loomed in the darkness, shadows whispering threats she couldn't understand. Fear crept up her spine, making her tremble. Yet she knew there was no turning back. She had nowhere to go but forward. Hours passed as she stumbled blindly through the dense alien forest. Zara felt lonely and vulnerable, her pale skin glowing faintly beneath the twin moons. Suddenly, she sensed movement nearby. Something was stalking her, hidden deep in the shadows. Zara's pulse quickened, panic flooding her senses. She began running, pushing branches aside, desperately hoping to escape whatever chased her. But the creature was faster and stronger, a massive shadowy beast with glowing eyes, growling menacingly as it closed in on her. Zara tripped, falling painfully onto the hard ground. She turned around, terrified, as the creature drew closer, its sharp fangs visible in the moonlight. Just as the beast prepared to strike, a flash of bright blue energy exploded beside Zara. A figure emerged swiftly, shielding her with a determined expression. Zara gasped. It was a human man. Tall and strong, his piercing eyes focused sharply on the alien beast as he fired another pulse of energy from his handheld weapon, forcing it to retreat into the darkness. Still shaken, Zara stared at the human in wonder. His face was calm but cautious as he slowly knelt beside her, offering his hand. "Are you hurt?" he asked gently, his voice soothing and reassuring despite the alien language he struggled to pronounce correctly. Zara hesitated, surprised by the compassion and genuine concern in his eyes. This was exactly what she'd seen in her studies of humans: the kindness, the courage, the willingness to help others without expecting anything in return. Her people had lied about them. This human had saved her life without even knowing her name. "No," she whispered softly, finally taking his hand and allowing him to help her stand. She glanced nervously around, still frightened that the beast might return. The human seemed to sense her fear, carefully guiding her away from danger toward a hidden campsite he created earlier. Together, they sat quietly near a small, comforting fire. The flames illuminated his face, revealing gentle features and eyes full of questions he hadn't asked yet. Zara watched him cautiously, feeling both amazed and confused. How could she trust him? Yet he protected her without hesitation. The silence stretched until Zara could no longer bear it. Tears formed again in her eyes, trickling softly down her cheeks. The human watched her sadly, unsure how to comfort her. Gathering her courage, Zara took a shaky breath, leaning forward slightly. She knew it sounded desperate, perhaps even foolish, but this human was her only chance at survival. With a trembling voice, she spoke words that she never imagined saying to anyone, let alone a human. "Please, human, I have nowhere left to go. Marry me. It is the only way I can survive." Her voice was filled with pain, hope, and fear all at once. She stared pleadingly into his eyes, praying he wouldn't reject her like everyone else had. Silence hung heavily between them, broken only by the soft crackling of the fire. Zara held her breath, waiting anxiously for his response, knowing her entire fate depended on his next words. Leo stared at Zara in stunned silence, his deep brown eyes wide with disbelief. He blinked several times, processing her unusual request. Marriage? To an alien girl he had only just met, under circumstances that could hardly be described as normal. He cleared his throat awkwardly, running a hand nervously through his thick, messy hair. He studied Zara's desperate expression, seeing the honesty and vulnerability reflected clearly in her bright violet eyes. I don't understand. Leo finally managed, keeping his voice gentle so as not to upset her further. You don't even know me. Why would you ask for something like marriage? Zara's eyes lowered to the flickering flames, embarrassment, and sadness shading her delicate features. She took a deep breath, clearly struggling to explain herself. Among my kind, marriage offers protection, a bond of trust no one can break. I have been cast out. If they believe someone, especially a human, has chosen me, it would make me valuable again, or at least protected. Leo frowned slightly, taking in her words. He felt conflicted, unsure of how to respond. Zara looked so innocent, her silvery hair falling gracefully around her shoulders, her pale skin glowing softly beneath the moonlight. Yet behind that gentle beauty lay a strength and sincerity he couldn't deny. She had risked everything simply to speak kindly about humans. Leo knew firsthand how Zara's people viewed humanity, as lesser, violent beings unworthy of respect. That Zara had defended his kind spoke volumes about her courage and character. Leo sighed softly, finally speaking again. I can't promise you marriage, not right now, anyway. But I'll help you. You're safe with me. Maybe we can find another way to protect you. Relief washed visibly over Zara's face, tears of gratitude forming once again in her luminous eyes. She nodded quickly, whispering her thanks softly. Leo offered her a reassuring smile, standing and carefully placing another log on the fire. The flames rose higher, casting comforting warmth over their small campsite. Though uncertainty hung in the air between them, for the first time since her exile, Zara felt hope. As dawn broke over the alien landscape, Leo and Zara set out cautiously toward Leo's hidden shelter. The terrain was challenging, filled with steep hills, dense alien vegetation, and creatures lurking in every shadow. Leo led confidently, his protective instincts heightened as he carefully guided Zara around potential dangers. Zara observed him closely as they traveled, quietly admiring how cautious and attentive he was, traits her own people had never attributed to humans. Leo asked Zara questions about her home, gently coaxing details from her as they walked. Initially hesitant, Zara gradually opened up, describing her childhood, her city's strict rules, and the harsh punishment she faced simply for expressing compassion toward humans. Leo listened intently, occasionally glancing back at Zara with concern and respect. Hours passed, and as they approached Leo's shelter, a hidden cavern tucked safely within a rocky hillside, both felt exhaustion setting in. The cavern was warm, dry, and filled with carefully stored human supplies, a comfortable refuge Leo had built himself. Zara gazed around curiously, fascinated by the unfamiliar technology and tools Leo used, marveling silently at the cleverness of humans. Rest now, Leo suggested kindly, preparing a makeshift bed for Zara with soft blankets and pillows. Zara sat down carefully, feeling immediately comforted by Leo's genuine care. Despite barely knowing each other, she felt safer with him than she had ever felt among her own kind. As Zara drifted into restless sleep, Leo stood watch, alert for danger. His thoughts were a swirl of confusion and curiosity. He felt a deep sense of protectiveness toward Zara, one he couldn't fully understand. She was vulnerable yet strong, frightened yet determined, rejected but still hopeful. Every contradiction about Zara intrigued him deeply. He wondered what would become of them both, knowing Zara's people wouldn't give up easily. The silence was suddenly shattered by an unfamiliar sound outside, a low humming noise, growing louder. Leo tensed immediately, quickly grabbing his weapon and quietly waking Zara. Her eyes opened, filled with instant fear. "It's them," Zara whispered urgently, her voice trembling. "The hunters from my city. They found us." Leo moved swiftly, positioning himself protectively between Zara and the cavern entrance, gripping his weapon tightly. Zara stood closely behind him, breathing rapidly. The humming stopped abruptly, replaced by footsteps and authoritative voices approaching the cave. Zara's fingers curled anxiously into Leo's sleeve, her heart pounding. As the figures appeared at the cavern's entrance, Zara recognized them immediately. The dark uniforms, stern faces, and weapons aimed directly at them. The leader, tall and intimidating, stepped forward, glaring fiercely at Zara, disdain evident in his icy stare. "You thought you could escape justice, Zara," he sneered coldly. "Your exile wasn't enough punishment for your betrayal." Leo's stance tightened, his eyes narrowing dangerously. "She's under my protection now," Leo declared firmly, shocking the hunters by speaking their language roughly but clearly. "Zara and I are married according to your own traditions. She belongs with me." The hunters exchanged skeptical glances, their leader stepping closer, eyes narrowing suspiciously. "Married to a human?" he challenged, his voice dripping with disbelief. "Prove it." Zara's breath caught, panic rising within her chest. But Leo didn't flinch. Calmly, he reached out, carefully taking Zara's trembling hand, intertwining their fingers convincingly. "What more proof do you need?" Leo asked, voice steady, projecting absolute confidence. The leader hesitated, eyes narrowing further, clearly uncertain. Zara leaned closer into Leo, her heart racing at the closeness, afraid yet comforted by his presence. She felt his fingers tighten reassuringly around hers, silently promising to keep her safe. They waited, breathless, praying desperately that their improvised plan would be enough to fool the hunters. After a tense pause, the leader finally spoke, voice still doubtful but less aggressive. "Very well. If your union is truly valid, you must appear before the elders. Only then will we accept your bond." He turned abruptly, signaling his soldiers to withdraw, their figures disappearing quickly into the alien wilderness. Leo exhaled deeply, relief flooding him as Zara collapsed against him, emotionally overwhelmed. Leo gently held her, comfortingly stroking her silvery hair, whispering softly, "It's all right now. We'll figure this out together." As Zara's heartbeat slowly calmed, she glanced up into Leo's compassionate eyes. She knew their troubles were far from over, but something else stirred inside her, something she'd never felt before, something powerful and new. Trust, hope, perhaps even something deeper. Together, side by side in uncertain silence, they both knew one thing clearly. Their fates were now inseparable, bound together in ways neither could have imagined. Leo and Zara stood quietly at the cavern entrance, watching as the hunters disappeared into the dense alien forest. The heavy silence left behind seemed louder than any noise could have been. Zara's heart still hammered painfully in her chest, fear lingering in her bright violet eyes. Yet beneath the fear was something new, a delicate spark of trust and warmth blossoming as she felt Leo's hand still gently holding hers. Leo glanced down at her, concern evident on his rugged face. He slowly let go of her hand, reluctantly breaking their comforting connection. Clearing his throat, he spoke softly, "We don't have much time. Those hunters will return, and next time they'll want proof that we truly are married." Zara nodded slowly, lowering her gaze in embarrassment. "I'm sorry, Leo. I put you in danger without thinking. This wasn't fair to you." Leo shook his head gently, placing a reassuring hand on her slender shoulder. "Don't apologize. You had nowhere else to turn, and I chose to help you. We'll face this together." His voice was firm yet gentle, offering her the strength and safety she desperately needed. They sat together in silence, deep in thought. Zara's mind raced anxiously as she considered the hunter's return. She knew the elders would test their bond harshly, expecting them to fail. Any hint of deception would be punished severely. Zara shuddered, knowing the cruelty her people were capable of. Finally, Leo spoke again, determination clear in his voice. "If we have to face your elders, we must understand each other better. Tell me everything about your customs, your traditions, your people's ideas of marriage. The more I know, the better prepared we'll be." Zara looked up in surprise, moved by Leo's sincere willingness to understand. Slowly, she began to share more of her culture's details. Marriage among Zara's people was sacred, tested through rituals that demanded true trust, loyalty, and sacrifice. Leo listened carefully, asking questions, committed fully to their unusual alliance. Hours passed unnoticed as Zara spoke, sharing stories of her childhood, the strict rules, and the expectations placed on every member of her society. She explained how she had always felt out of place, secretly fascinated by humans, seeing kindness and compassion where her elders saw only danger and chaos. Leo listened intently, understanding how much Zara had risked merely by defending his species. He admired her bravery deeply, realizing just how isolated and alone she had been until now. When Zara finally stopped talking, her voice grew quiet, heavy with emotion. "My people fear change. They'd punish kindness, seeing it as weakness. When I spoke in defense of humans, I became their enemy." Zara's violet eyes filled with sadness, her silvery hair glowing gently in the dim cavern light. Leo reached out instinctively, taking her hand again to comfort her. Zara smiled softly, grateful for his warmth and understanding. Suddenly, Leo stood, energized by an idea. "If your elders need proof of our bond, we'll give it to them, exactly what they expect. But we'll show them our way with trust and courage. Maybe we can convince them not only that we're truly bonded, but that your beliefs are right. That kindness isn't weakness, and humans can be trusted." Zara's eyes widened in shock, admiring his boldness yet fearing the risks. She knew what her elders were capable of. Still, Leo's confidence inspired her, igniting hope once again. Zara slowly stood beside him, determination lighting her delicate features. "I'm with you, Leo. Whatever happens, we'll face it together." For the next several days, Zara and Leo worked closely together, preparing carefully. Zara taught Leo about her people's language, their rituals, and customs, helping him understand the subtle meanings behind gestures and words. Leo shared more about himself, opening up to Zara about his life on Earth, his hopes, fears, and dreams. Each passing day brought them closer, trust deepening into a bond that neither expected but both cherished. Yet, underlying their growing closeness was the ever-present fear of the elders' tests. Zara knew the trials could be dangerous, designed specifically to expose any weakness or deception. Leo practiced tirelessly, determined to protect Zara at any cost. Finally, the dreaded day arrived. As the sun rose over their hidden cavern, Zara heard the unmistakable hum of an approaching ship. Her pulse quickened, panic flickering briefly through her heart. Leo placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, calming her instantly. They exchanged a meaningful glance, knowing they were about to face the most dangerous challenge yet. Exiting the cavern hand in hand, Zara and Leo watched the sleek alien craft descend slowly, landing gracefully nearby. A group of solemn-faced aliens stepped out, eyes narrowed skeptically. At their head stood Zora's eldest teacher, Elder Arian, his silver robes glittering coldly, his sharp gaze fixed firmly on Zara, disdain evident in every feature. "You dared defy our customs, Zara." Arian's voice rang harshly. "You dare claim marriage with a human, betraying everything we stand for." Leo stepped forward calmly, speaking firmly in their language. "Our bond is true. Zara is brave and compassionate. She sees the best in humans, something your people refuse to understand." Elder Arian's expression darkened dangerously. "Then you shall prove it in our rituals." Fail even once, and the consequences will be severe. Zara trembled slightly, but Leo squeezed her hand reassuringly. They followed the elders into the waiting ship, hearts pounding, uncertainty gripping them. Inside, the silence was deafening, thick with tension as the vessel soared toward Zara's home city. The trials awaited them there, merciless and challenging. Upon landing, Zara felt a painful tightening in her chest as memories flooded back. The rejection, loneliness, and cruelty she had endured. But Leo's gentle presence at her side steadied her courage. Together, they entered the massive ritual chamber, the space packed with Zora's people, their accusing eyes following every step. Elder Arian's cold voice echoed throughout the chamber, announcing their tests to the waiting crowd. The rituals began immediately, dangerous tasks demanding trust, strength, and sacrifice. Zara felt intense pressure, knowing any small mistake could mean disaster. Leo stood firm beside her, meeting every challenge without hesitation, inspiring awe and confusion among the watching aliens. Each task became harder, the elders determined to break their resolve. During a particularly dangerous test involving crossing a narrow bridge high above a pit, Zara slipped, gasping in fear as she nearly fell into darkness. Leo immediately caught her, risking his own safety without thought, pulling her securely back onto the bridge. The crowd gasped audibly, stunned by his genuine bravery. By the time the final ritual approached, the mood had shifted noticeably. The watching aliens whispered nervously, uncertainty replacing harsh judgment. Zara noticed this change, hope blossoming inside her. Maybe Leo's courage had truly begun to change minds. As the elders prepared the final challenge, a symbolic ritual of complete trust and sacrifice, Leo turned calmly to Zara, eyes filled with emotion. "Trust me," he whispered softly, taking her hand gently. Zara nodded silently, placing her complete trust in him. Together, facing impossible odds, they stepped forward confidently. They knew that whatever happened next would determine not only their fate, but perhaps the future of their two species forever. Leo and Zara stood facing the final test, hearts pounding in unison as a heavy silence settled over the massive chamber. The gathered crowd watched, their skeptical murmurs fading into anxious quiet. Elder Arian stepped forward, his face stern, reflecting no sympathy or compassion. He motioned toward the final trial, an immense crystal pedestal holding a glowing sphere of pure energy, suspended in midair. Zara's breath quickened. She recognized this immediately as the most sacred and dangerous trial of all, one designed to test the purity of their bond. If their trust wavered even slightly, the energy within the sphere would shatter violently, exposing their deception to everyone. Elder Arian's voice echoed coldly through the chamber. "This final ritual demands absolute trust. You both must hold the sphere together, channeling your bond through its core. If your marriage is genuine, the sphere will glow brightly and remain whole. But if there is deceit," he paused ominously, eyes narrowing, "the sphere will break, and the truth revealed." The crowd murmured anxiously, aware of the severe consequences if the ritual failed. Zara felt a tremor pass through her body, but Leo's reassuring touch calmed her. Their eyes met briefly, silently communicating determination and trust. Together, they stepped forward, reaching out their hands slowly toward the delicate, glowing sphere. As their fingers touched the sphere, an intense wave of energy surged instantly through Zara and Leo, binding them closer in a way neither had ever felt before. Zara's eyes widened in shock, feeling every emotion within Leo, his strength, kindness, fear, and even deep, hidden affection. Likewise, Leo felt Zara's vulnerability, compassion, and immense courage, now fully understanding how deeply her heart yearned for acceptance and understanding. Slowly, the sphere began glowing brighter, radiating warmth that enveloped them both. Zara and Leo locked eyes, surprised by the depth of emotion revealed through the ritual. Zara's heart swelled, realizing for the first time just how much Leo truly cared, not only about her safety but about her happiness. Her emotions overwhelmed her, but she kept her focus firmly on Leo, trusting him completely. But suddenly, the elders activated another layer of the trial. Dark illusions designed to break their focus and trust. Visions filled the chamber, depicting terrible scenarios. Leo betraying Zara, abandoning her. Zara's family turning violently against her. Zara's breath caught painfully, fear creeping back into her heart. Her hand began trembling, the sphere flickering dangerously. Leo felt Zara's uncertainty sharply and instinctively tightened his grip, whispering gently yet urgently, "Zara, these are lies. Trust me, please. I would never betray you." His voice pierced through her fear, grounding Zara back in reality. She stared deeply into Leo's sincere eyes, drawing strength from his unwavering belief in her. Zara steadied herself, firmly grasping the sphere alongside him once more, her trust now stronger than ever. Gradually, the illusions faded, the chamber falling silent once again. The glowing sphere stabilized, shining brighter and clearer than before. Gasps echoed through the crowd, surprise evident on every alien face. Elder Arian's cold expression faltered, replaced briefly by uncertainty and confusion. Yet the elders refused to accept defeat. Elder Arian, enraged, stepped forward again, speaking harshly. "The ritual can still deceive. To truly prove your bond, you must declare your feelings openly before everyone here. Reveal your hearts. If your words are false, the sphere will break immediately." Leo hesitated, his heart racing. He hadn't expected to be forced into openly sharing feelings he barely even admitted to himself. Yet, glancing at Zara's frightened but hopeful expression, he knew there was no turning back. Clearing his throat, Leo raised his voice, loud and clear. "I came to this world as a stranger, unsure of everything. But meeting Zara changed everything. Her kindness, bravery, and compassion made me see the truth. Your kind and mine aren't so different. She risked everything for what she believes. And I." Leo paused, taking a breath. His voice gentler but filled with sincerity. "I care deeply for her, and my life now is bound to hers." A stunned silence filled the room. Zara's heart swelled with gratitude, tears glistening in her violet eyes. Gathering her courage, Zara stepped closer to Leo, her voice steady yet emotional. "Leo showed me the truth about humanity, compassion, courage, and hope. He protected me when no one else would. He gave me strength when I was weakest. He means everything to me now. My heart belongs completely to him." The sphere surged brilliantly, casting brilliant beams of light across the chamber, dazzling the watching crowd. Elder Arian's face twisted in astonishment, forced at last to accept the sincerity of their bond. The other elders exchanged bewildered glances, uncertain how to proceed against such overwhelming proof. However, just as the room seemed ready to accept them, Elder Arian's face hardened with anger once more. "Enough of these games," he shouted bitterly. "This proves nothing. Humans cannot be trusted. Your bond is a mockery. Guards, separate them immediately." Armed soldiers quickly surrounded Zara and Leo, forcefully pulling them apart. Zara cried out in distress, reaching desperately toward Leo. He fought against the guards, rage filling his heart at the injustice. "Zara!" Leo shouted furiously, struggling against the powerful hold of the guards. Elder Arian stepped forward, glaring coldly at Zara. "You betrayed us completely. You will face exile permanently, far worse than before. You will never again threaten our traditions." Zara's eyes filled with tears of despair. Yet despite the fear gripping her, something inside Zara snapped. Anger and courage flared brightly in her heart. She raised her voice defiantly. "You claim I betrayed our kind, but you betrayed yourselves. Your hatred blinds you from seeing the truth. Leo has shown us the way forward. Trust, compassion, unity. If you exile me, know that you exile the only hope our people have left." Her words echoed powerfully, silencing everyone. Even the guards hesitated, glancing uncertainly at each other. Elder Arian paused, his face conflicted, emotions warring inside him. He stared into Zara's fearless gaze, a flicker of doubt crossing his eyes for the first time. Leo seized the moment, pleading passionately, "You fear humans without reason. Zara risked everything to show you a better path. Don't punish her for courage. Give us a chance to prove that we're stronger together." The silence stretched painfully, the elders uncertain how to respond. Elder Arian finally sighed deeply, stepping back reluctantly. "Very well. Your bond has passed every test, even if it goes against our traditions. For now, your exile is paused, Zara. But know this, you both must prove your beliefs worthy, or face permanent punishment." The guards released them hesitantly. Zara immediately rushed toward Leo, who embraced her protectively, holding her tight. Their hearts beat together, relief and hope overwhelming them. Zara looked deeply into Leo's eyes, silently expressing gratitude, trust, and something deeper she couldn't yet fully admit. Leo gently brushed Zara's silvery hair aside, smiling warmly. "We'll prove them wrong," he whispered, determination clear in his voice. Zara nodded softly, feeling stronger than ever with Leo by her side. Together, united in purpose and heart, Leo and Zara faced the uncertain future ahead, knowing their bond could withstand whatever challenges awaited them next. Leo and Zara remained close, their bond strengthened profoundly by the trials they had faced. But even as their hearts calmed, the tension surrounding them remained. Although the elders had reluctantly paused Zara's exile, suspicion and resentment lingered in the eyes of many among her kind. The elders, especially Elder Arian, watched every step they took, awaiting even the smallest mistake to punish them both. Knowing their time was limited, Leo and Zara began working tirelessly to demonstrate the sincerity and power of their beliefs. Together, they spoke openly in the city squares, boldly advocating for cooperation and unity between humans and Zara's people. Initially, their audience was small, skeptical, and sometimes hostile. But slowly, curiosity drew larger crowds. Zara's heartfelt words resonated deeply with those who had secretly harbored doubts about their society's harshness. Leo's quiet strength and sincerity began to break down the walls of mistrust, drawing hesitant interest from many of Zara's kind. Yet their growing influence only increased Elder Arian's bitterness. He saw their actions as a direct threat to tradition and authority. One evening, as Zara and Leo prepared another speech near the city's main gathering area, Zara sensed something unsettling, a faint vibration in the ground beneath their feet. Leo noticed Zara's sudden distress, gently placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "What's wrong, Zara?" She looked around nervously, her violet eyes filled with concern. "Something feels off, Leo. I sense danger. I think Elder Arian might." Before she could finish her sentence, loud explosions erupted throughout the plaza, sending panicked crowds fleeing in every direction. Smoke and chaos enveloped the square as armed guards swiftly moved in, surrounding Zara and Leo. Elder Arian stepped forward, his eyes gleaming coldly with triumph. "You went too far, Zara. I warned you not to challenge our ways. Now, you and this human will face the consequences," he declared coldly, signaling the guards forward. Without hesitation, Leo shielded Zara, his stance protective and defiant. "You don't have to do this, Arian." Zara only wanted peace. Silence. Elder Arian snarled, eyes burning with fury. "Take them." The guards moved aggressively, forcing Zara and Leo to flee into the labyrinth of city streets. Zara's pulse thundered as she ran alongside Leo, desperation and fear coursing through her veins. Behind them, angry shouts echoed, signaling relentless pursuit. Through twisting alleyways and narrow passages, they raced breathlessly. Zara, though familiar with her home city, found herself disoriented by panic. Leo's presence was her only anchor as they dodged patrols and searchlights cutting sharply through the darkness. Finally, trapped in a narrow alley with nowhere left to run, Zara felt despair rise sharply within her chest. Leo glanced around frantically, searching for any escape. Above them, Zara noticed a small maintenance ladder leading to the rooftops. "Leo there," she whispered urgently, pointing upward. Without hesitation, Leo boosted Zara up, then quickly climbed after her as the guards closed in below. Once on the roof, Zara led Leo swiftly across the uneven terrain, jumping carefully between buildings, driven by sheer desperation. Eventually, they reached the edge of the city, beyond which lay only wild, dangerous lands. Zara paused briefly, glancing back at her glowing home now filled with turmoil. Sadness filled her eyes, but Leo gently touched her arm, offering comfort. "We'll come back, Zara, when it's safe. Right now, we must go," Leo urged softly. Taking a deep breath, Zara nodded resolutely, knowing Leo was right. Together they leaped down from the rooftops, landing gracefully near the thick edge of a forest that stretched endlessly before them. As they hurried deeper into the woods, Zara knew their pursuers wouldn't easily abandon the chase. Her kind knew this wilderness well, and their enemies would soon follow. Every shadow felt dangerous. Every sound made her heart race anxiously. Hours passed in tense silence as they pushed forward, exhausted but determined. Eventually, darkness forced them to rest. Leo carefully made a hidden shelter from leaves and branches, concealing their presence from searching eyes above. Inside the small shelter, Zara finally allowed herself to relax slightly, exhaustion overwhelming her. Leo gently took Zora's hand, his touch instantly comforting. "We'll make it through this, Zara," he promised softly. Zara squeezed his hand, silently thanking him for his unwavering support. Just as they drifted into restless sleep, distant voices startled Zara awake. Her heart raced as she heard Elder Arian's unmistakable voice commanding his guards nearby. Zara looked fearfully at Leo, who nodded silently, understanding the danger. Quietly, they slipped away once more, moving carefully to avoid detection. Days passed, filled with endless running, hiding, and careful movements through harsh terrain. Zara and Leo faced hunger, exhaustion, and constant fear. Yet, despite hardships, their bond deepened. Zara watched Leo closely, amazed by his courage and determination, feeling her admiration for him blossom into genuine love. Leo, too, realized that Zara was not merely an ally but someone he genuinely could never live without. One night, sheltered beneath the bright stars in a secluded valley, Leo turned thoughtfully toward Zara. "Zara, I never imagined all of this happening, but I want you to know I would do it all again. Every risk, every moment, because I truly—" Leo's voice faltered, uncertain. Zara gently reached out, touching his face tenderly. "I know, Leo," she whispered warmly, "and I feel exactly the same way. You showed me what true kindness is. With you, I feel truly safe, truly accepted." Leo smiled softly, leaning closer, their foreheads gently touching, as they quietly shared a moment of absolute trust beneath the stars. It was a rare, beautiful pause amid their desperate struggle for survival. Yet this peace was short-lived. Just as dawn broke gently over the valley, Zara felt a familiar tremor beneath her feet once more. She knew instantly what it meant. Elder Arian's hunters had found them again. And this time, escape seemed impossible. Together, Zara and Leo rose, facing the approaching soldiers defiantly. Surrounded quickly, weapons drawn, they stood back to back, refusing to surrender. Zara raised her chin bravely, addressing the soldiers with unwavering courage. "You've chased us long enough," she declared firmly. "But know this, we are not your enemies. We fight only for peace, understanding, and unity." The soldiers hesitated slightly, conflicted by Zara's words. But their leader stepped forward, voice stern and unyielding. "You are ordered to return immediately. Resistance will not be tolerated." Leo reached back, taking Zara's hand firmly in his own, silently promising to protect her until the very end. Zara took comfort in Leo's determined strength, knowing whatever happened next, they faced it together. With their escape cut off, surrounded and trapped, Zara's heart beat strongly with determination, courage, and love, emotions she had never fully known before meeting Leo. Whatever fate awaited them now, she knew deeply that their bond, their love, was stronger than any challenge they faced. And somehow, even amid uncertainty, Zara felt a quiet but powerful hope rising inside her heart. Zara and Leo stood defiantly, encircled by the determined soldiers whose weapons were trained carefully upon them. Despite the overwhelming odds, neither showed signs of fear or retreat. Zara's gentle eyes radiated quiet strength, while Leo's protective stance communicated clearly that he would stand by her side no matter the cost. The leader of the soldiers stepped closer, his face unreadable beneath a stern metallic helmet. "You both must return immediately," he commanded, his voice harsh yet uncertain. "Elder Arian demands your presence. Your refusal will only worsen your punishment." Leo tightened his grip on Zara's hand, his expression unwavering. "Punishment? For what?" "For wanting peace, understanding, and compassion between your kind and mine. Open your eyes. Your people deserve better than fear and suspicion." A brief silence followed Leo's bold words. Zara felt her heart swell with pride, moved deeply by Leo's bravery. Around them, the soldiers hesitated, exchanging uncertain glances. Some lowered their weapons slightly, conflicted between loyalty and the truths spoken boldly by the pair. Sensing the moment of hesitation, Zara stepped forward, addressing the soldiers calmly yet passionately. "We never sought conflict. We only wanted your eyes to open, to see humans as allies, as equals. Elder Arian fears change because it threatens his power. But ask yourselves, is peace truly dangerous, or is hatred and fear the real threat to our future?" Her voice resonated powerfully, filled with genuine compassion. Some soldiers lowered their weapons further, visibly affected by her sincere appeal. Their leader shifted uncomfortably, clearly battling his own conflicted thoughts. Yet his orders were clear, and his resolve remained firm. Before he could respond, a sudden noise from the trees startled everyone. Dozens of figures emerged cautiously from the forest shadows, their faces familiar to Zara. Former friends and citizens who had once silently watched her exile. They now stood bravely at her side, united by her courage and sincerity. "We stand with Zara and the human," a young alien named Kayla declared boldly, stepping forward, her voice firm and clear. "They speak truth, and we refuse to continue living in fear." The soldiers exchanged anxious glances as the crowd grew larger, murmuring agreement with Kayla's words. Elder Arian's carefully built control seemed suddenly fragile against this rising tide of support. Zara felt relief and hope growing inside her, deeply touched by this unexpected support. Yet, before anyone could fully celebrate this unexpected unity, Elder Arian himself arrived, striding into view flanked by his most loyal guards. His expression was cold and furious, eyes narrowed angrily at Zara. "You foolish girl," Elder Arian growled darkly. "Your naive ideals will destroy us. Humans cannot be trusted. You've spread your poison far enough." Zara straightened her stance defiantly, stepping forward bravely despite Leo's silent warning to be careful. Her voice remained calm, compassionate yet firm. "Elder Arian, you've taught our people only hatred and fear, but Leo has shown me another way, one of kindness, courage, and acceptance. These are not weaknesses, they're our greatest strengths." The elder's eyes flashed dangerously. "Enough. You leave me no choice but to eliminate this threat," he snarled, signaling sharply to his guards. Weapons raised again. Tensions rose sharply. Suddenly, Leo stepped forward, unarmed yet fearless. "You accuse Zara of betrayal," he spoke clearly, his voice strong, echoing through the gathered crowd. "But she sacrificed everything simply to speak kindly about humanity. If you punish her, you punish yourselves, losing your only chance at true peace." Elder Arian's eyes darkened further, conflicted but stubborn. "Do not lecture me, human. Your kind brings chaos wherever you go." Leo's eyes hardened, voice unwavering. "You are wrong, Elder. Humans aren't perfect, but we know something you've forgotten. True strength comes from unity, compassion, and trust." Leo's sincerity filled the tense silence, many soldiers visibly moved. Zara saw doubt growing within Elder Arian's previously unwavering stance. The elder paused uncertainly, the crowd murmuring louder now, supporting Leo and Zara. Elder Arian took a deep breath, visibly conflicted, finally turning sharply toward Zara. "Prove it," he demanded coldly. "Show me your human strength isn't merely words. If he truly trusts you, let him undergo the trial of shadows." The crowd gasped collectively. Zara felt immediate fear surge through her. The trial of shadows was notorious, dangerous, designed specifically to break even the strongest bonds. No human had ever attempted it, and few survived even among Zora's own kind. Leo, sensing Zora's fear, gently touched her shoulder. "I'll do it," he said firmly, his eyes filled with unshakable determination. Zara looked desperately into his face, pleading quietly. "No, Leo," she whispered urgently, tears forming again. "It's too dangerous." Leo offered her a reassuring smile, his voice calm and gentle. "Zara, we can do this. Trust me, our bond is real. We can prove it beyond any doubt." Seeing his confidence, Zara swallowed her fear and nodded, knowing Leo was right. Their bond had grown deep and genuine, strengthened by trials they had already overcome together. If anyone could survive, it was them. The elders quickly prepared the trial of shadows, guiding Leo into a sacred chamber cloaked in darkness and fear. Zara watched anxiously from outside, her heart aching with worry. Elder Arian stood nearby, silently confident that Leo would fail. Leo stepped calmly into the darkness, immediately feeling oppressive fear and doubt designed to shatter trust and courage. Painful visions assaulted his mind. Zara abandoning him, turning against humanity, and betraying everything he valued. Yet even as fear clawed at him, Leo clung fiercely to Zora's gentle image, remembering the warmth of her smile, her brave heart, and unyielding kindness. Outside, Zara waited anxiously, her heart aching painfully with worry. Minutes stretched painfully into an eternity, her pulse pounding fearfully. Zara's people watched nervously, hearts heavy with dread, fearing the worst outcome. Suddenly, a powerful flash of brilliant blue energy burst forth, startling everyone. Leo emerged from the shadows, standing tall and victorious, eyes bright with defiant courage. Zara ran immediately to him, tears filling her eyes as she embraced him, relief and love overwhelming her heart. Elder Arian stared in shocked disbelief, speechless. Leo addressed the crowd firmly yet gently. "Fear cannot break true bonds. Trust and compassion have triumphed." Zara turned toward her people, her voice filled with quiet hope. "Now you've seen. Our hearts are stronger together. We don't have to fear humans. Peace between our kinds is possible." The crowd murmured agreement, voices growing louder, supportive and hopeful. Even the soldiers now stood uncertain, unwilling to oppose such genuine courage and trust. Elder Arian finally lowered his gaze, defeated by truth. Perhaps I was wrong," he whispered reluctantly, voice trembling. "Maybe we've misunderstood humans all along." His words echoed through the gathering, igniting cautious hope. Zara squeezed Leo's hand tightly, knowing their struggle was far from over. But for the first time, peace truly seemed possible. Together, Zara and Leo stood proudly before everyone, their bond now stronger than ever, their hearts connected deeply, unbreakable and true. They had faced hatred, exile, danger, and doubt, yet emerged victorious, proving that compassion, trust, and love could bridge even the greatest divide. As they stood there, hand in hand, a wave of hope filled the chamber. Zara looked into Leo's eyes lovingly, whispering softly, "You truly saved me, Leo, not just from exile, but from loneliness." Leo smiled warmly, gently holding Zara closer, his voice tender and sincere. "We saved each other, Zara, and I promise we'll keep doing it together." And as they stood united, surrounded by newfound allies and a brighter future, they both realized clearly their true journey was only beginning. Leo and Zara stood together on the high crystal balcony, overlooking the sprawling alien city that shimmered beautifully beneath the gentle glow of twin moons. A cool breeze brushed softly against Zora's silvery hair, lifting it gently like a silk curtain in the moonlight. She felt Leo's comforting presence at her side, his warmth easing away any lingering fears from the recent turmoil they had endured. Below them, a massive gathering of Zara's people waited expectantly, filling every street and plaza, their faces turned upward. Whispers of hope had spread quickly after Leo's victory in the trial of shadows, awakening a new tentative openness among Zora's kind. The elders themselves stood respectfully behind them, even Elder Arian quietly subdued, acknowledging the undeniable truth revealed by Leo and Zara's bond. Zara felt her heart flutter nervously. This moment felt both wonderful and terrifying. Her entire life, she had dreamed of seeing acceptance and unity between humans and her people, yet now, standing on the brink of that dream becoming reality, anxiety tugged at her thoughts. Would her people truly accept them? Could they finally open their hearts to something so different and previously feared? Leo gently touched Zora's hand, sensing her tension. Their eyes met, his steady gaze reassuring her immediately. Without words, he reminded her of their journey, every moment of courage, trust, and sacrifice they had shared. Zara smiled softly, feeling the strength of his love and knowing she wasn't alone. Gathering her courage, Zara stepped forward, addressing the waiting crowd. Her voice carried clearly through the still air, strong yet gentle, reflecting the compassion that had led her down this path. "My people," she began softly, "today marks a turning point for all of us. For too long, we've lived in fear, misunderstanding those who differ from us. My bond with Leo is not simply about marriage. It is about embracing change, trusting that kindness and compassion will guide us better than fear ever could." Her voice resonated deeply, sincerity evident in every word. The gathered aliens listened silently, many faces thoughtful and moved by her genuine appeal. Zara glanced briefly toward Leo again, drawing strength from his calm presence. She continued confidently, "Leo has shown me the depth and power of human kindness. He risked his life repeatedly, not because he had to, but because he believed in unity, understanding, and love. These qualities are universal. They exist in humans, and within each of us." Zara paused briefly, allowing her heartfelt words to settle deeply among the crowd. Leo stepped forward, standing protectively beside Zara, adding his voice calmly yet powerfully. "Your traditions teach you strength through unity. Zara and I found strength by overcoming doubt, fear, and misunderstanding. Together, humans and your kind can learn from each other, building something stronger and better. All we need is courage, trust, and openness." Leo's sincere words deeply moved those listening. Elder Arian, who had stood quietly behind them, finally stepped forward cautiously, clearly humbled. He addressed the crowd hesitantly, struggling to express his newfound realization. I was wrong about Zara, about humans, and about fear itself. True strength lies in the courage to trust, to understand, and to change. I ask your forgiveness, Zara, Leo, and our people, for my blindness." A ripple of stunned murmurs swept through the gathered crowd, amazed at Elder Arian's unexpected humility. Zara's eyes filled with tears of gratitude as she nodded silently, accepting his heartfelt apology. Elder Arian stepped back respectfully, bowing slightly, a remarkable gesture of humility. As he stepped aside, a soft wave of applause began rippling throughout the city, growing stronger with each moment. Zara's heart swelled, feeling the deep emotional relief, sensing that at last her people truly understood. Leo squeezed her hand gently, sharing the profound joy of acceptance and unity. Days passed swiftly after that night, marked by significant changes within Zora's city. Humans, previously feared, were cautiously invited to visit, sharing knowledge and experiences with Zora's people. Zara and Leo became ambassadors of unity, their bond symbolizing hope and possibility. Gradually, trust replaced fear, kindness replaced suspicion, and understanding grew stronger each day. Amidst this peaceful transformation, Zara and Leo found time to reflect privately. One evening, beneath starlit skies on the very spot they first met, Leo turned lovingly toward Zara, his voice tender and sincere. "When I first met you, Zara, I had no idea how much you'd change my life. But now, I can't imagine a world without you." Zara smiled softly, violet eyes glistening warmly. "Leo, you saved me, not just from exile or danger, but from loneliness, fear, and hopelessness. You showed me what real strength and love truly mean." Leo gently cupped Zora's delicate face, leaning closer. Their foreheads touched softly, a moment filled with tenderness and gratitude. "I promise to spend every moment I have left showing you exactly how much you mean to me," Leo whispered gently, his voice filled with deep emotion. Zara's heart swelled powerfully, tears spilling softly onto her cheeks. "And I'd promise to always stand with you, to support you, and to love you without hesitation." They sealed their promises with a gentle, heartfelt embrace beneath the vast, endless sky, knowing deeply their bond was unbreakable, tested by countless trials, yet strengthened by love, trust, and courage. Months later, in a beautiful ceremony witnessed by both humans and Zora's kind, Zara and Leo officially bonded their lives together. Elder Arian himself blessed their union, acknowledging the powerful significance of their love. Cheers echoed joyfully across the city, signaling a future filled with hope, compassion, and unity. From that moment onward, Zora's city began a remarkable journey toward lasting peace. Zara and Leo continued their tireless work, inspiring others, healing divisions, and spreading a message that resonated deeply beyond even their own worlds. Their story became legendary, a powerful symbol of overcoming prejudice, fear, and hate. Years passed, and the legacy Zara and Leo created together lived on, transforming worlds and lives. Zara often thought back to those first frightening moments at the edge of exile, marveling at how much had changed since then. But one truth remained unchanged: the deep love and trust she shared with Leo. Together, beneath endless stars, Leo and Zara knew their hearts had found something rare and precious, a bond unbreakable, rooted deeply in compassion, strength, and hope, forever proving to the universe that love was indeed the strongest force of all.